Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Short Game Long Talk, a video game podcast for a hectic life. This week we played, or this month I guess, we played Sucker for Love First Date, all 3 chapters, which we just found out before this that it wasn't always all 3 chapters, thanks to our guest, who I'll introduce in a second. I am, of course, one of your co-hosts, Eric, joined always by my co-host, Jess.
Hey guys.
And we have another guest. We just had Jordan on for Between the Games. Prior to that, we had my friend Grace on for Between the Games. We have another guest host who is a part of our Discord group, LFG. And he is, if you're in that Discord, you know that he is live. He is always live. He's constantly live.
Always live.
My wife that's her favorite thing to point out, is she's like, oh, the Nerd Lys is live. We have Chris from the Nerd Lys joining us for this fun episode. Chris, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hello, everyone. You're just you're a glutton for guests this month. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Chris. If you guys don't know who I am, I play video games on Twitch, twitch.tv/thenerdlys, variety stream, mostly indie horror, a lot of like small games, and a lot of games that basically you guys cover on your podcast. So
I know
this felt like a pretty natural selection to get us together to do this show.
There's a good chance if we've talked about a game on this show that it's somewhere on Chris's channel or coming up, like one of the two. We discovered during the Game of the Year episode that we recorded on friend of the show Derek's channel that me and Chris have a lot of favorite games in common and like the similar style of games. So Chris will probably be and he'll probably be on the show quite a bit.
You guys did an episode on Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog that was like, I don't know why, like we talked about it a little bit on the big show, the big year-end show.
Yeah, the 3-hour episode.
For some reason, somehow I didn't have it on my list, but it was one of my favorite games of that year, and I totally forgot about it.
Oh, it was so good. Such a good game. And
I love that game.
And yeah, Jess loved it. My mom wants to play it. That's what she told me. She was like, I want to watch or play this game. And I was like, it's free. I can get it for you if you want. Yeah. So yeah, and that's another pattern. We have another visual novel game that we played. For me, this game took I did everything because I wanted to get the full experience, and it took exactly the amount of time that it says on how long to beat. It's 3.5 hours. Jess, how long did it take you to get your 2 chapters done?
It took me like an hour and a half in total.
Nice. Okay. And Chris, you did a little refresher, your background. You played this game a year ago, but you informed us that the chapter 3 didn't exist last year.
Yeah, I don't believe it did because I didn't try to get it. Because I did the first 2 chapters, took about 2.5 hours or so, and then did this last chapter on Sunday, and that took about like an hour or so.
Yeah, that was felt like the bulk of my time was one trying to figure out everything and then actually beating it, because we'll get into that. That part was actually hard. That is a very nice chunk of game, because I did all the endings. There's like 10 total. 8 or 10 total, and that's why it took me so long. But if you just do an ending you enjoy for chapter 1, chapter 2, and then unlocking chapter 3 is pretty. At first I thought it was really hard, and then I realized I was like, oh no, all the hints are there. Like they do a really good job of showcasing like this is how you do it. I just missed one and I was dumb about it. I was like, oh shit, no, that was obvious. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But overall, how'd you guys like this game?
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
No, go ahead.
Okay. For the 2 chapters that I played it, I liked it because I was able to get the 2 different endings on the first chapter, and then just one of the endings on the second.
I'm curious which one you got, but we'll get into that.
And I liked it for like what I could get. Definitely if I had more time and if I knew how to do school life balance better, I would have enjoyed it a little more. But that's what this podcast is about. So
yeah, you got enough about this game. And then what's probably going to happen is we're going to tell you about this, and then you're going to like tell you about chapter 3, and you're going to go do it. Like basically
Yeah.
is what's going to happen, and that's fine. Because yeah, I think this game is a good one to fit into because it is based in chapters, so I think it's perfect to like fit in between a busy life. But not everyone's like me and Chris, and we're just gonna sit down and beat this game.
Yeah. This was one of the games that early on, when I first started streaming horror games, actually, this was one of the games that was part of one of the DreadX collections.
Yes, that's
So
right. Yeah, the first
yeah,
one was short, right?
yeah. So it was only the first chapter that was in the DreadX collection. I believe this is the timeline. I could be wrong. Somebody please correct me if you guys know the full history of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But the first chapter was in the DreadX collection, and then when they did the full release of the game, they added some extra little tidbits and added the second chapter.
Yeah.
And then I believe it was free DLC to get the third chapter, and you can
Okay.
unlock it. So that was where I played the demo, and I loved it. It's such a
Yeah.
the dialogue is so much fun. The character designs are so much fun. It really leans into that the visual novel thing, right? That
Yeah.
anime type
Yeah.
of style and everything, and just all of even the voice acting is just really
The
fun to
voice
listen
acting is
to.
like surprisingly good for how
Yeah.
few voice actors there are in this game.
Yeah, when I honestly didn't expect voice acting, I thought I was just gonna
Mm-hmm.
have to like read all the captions myself. And then when it started, I was like, "Oh my God."
Mm-hmm.
I was
Yeah.
taken
Yeah.
aback.
Yeah.
I think
The
I
the
think the
the two
demo did
voice
not
actors.
have it.
No, I
I
doubt it.
believe the demo did not have it, and then they added it for the release.
I forgot it was a part of the DreadX collection because
Mhm.
I haven't had the capability to play most of these games just because I had a MacBook throughout college,
Mm.
and it was like a 20% of the games on Steam played on Mac. So I watched a Let's Play of the DreadX collection, and I totally forgot that Sucker for Love, First Date, like the like prelude or something for whatever the
Mhm.
actual title of the demo is called now, was part of the DreadX. And then I also found out after I beat this game that they just came out with what is it? What's the Resident Evil like Sesame Street game that came out last year?
Oh,
My Friendly
My Friendly
Neighborhood.
Neighborhood. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they made that game too. I was like, holy shit. Okay, this I didn't realize I liked this developer so much. I was like, holy shit, I have to pay attention to them. Because the art style, the comedy, the biggest thing for a visual novel for me is like, unless it's like super serious and there's some kind of mystery or something like that, like you got to make it funny. And like this
Yeah.
game is so funny, so tongue in cheek. The main character is a literal fucking himbo to like the biggest degree, and I love him so. Darling is so funny, like oh
The fact that they call him, I mean, I don't know if that's spoilers that the name always starts with a D, but
yeah
it's really fun to hear like his dialogue or like listen or read his dialogue in whatever voice you read him in,
yeah
and see what he's after for this type of visual novel, little
oh
dating sim sort of
man
situation.
yeah
He stays very consistent, and the writing is surprising. Some of the responses you get are just
yeah.
I wouldn't have expected them to say that in that way, and I was like, this is the best.
It's so
It's
the
so
art, yeah, it's so good. What were you
yeah.
gonna say, Jess?
I going to what Chris was saying about like the unexpected responses. As someone who like scripts responses and like plans out what people are gonna say, sometimes like when they don't say what I think they're gonna say, I'm like, oh, wait, hold on.
Yeah,
That's not what was supposed to happen. But I really liked
that's like this
the
whole
element.
game then for you, like,
Yeah,
like, oh man, I mean, yeah, like this whole game, I wrote down some notes. Like he like the whole game is just like risk it for the biscuit is like the thing that was in my head. Like this dude is just like fully like, I don't care, I'm going to risk everything to smooch an eldritch god of some form, like every single time. So it's just like in my head I was like, yep, risk it for the biscuit every time. Let's do every stupid
Yep.
thing we can think to do. And yeah, this game was just so funny. I was like laughing so hard and loving actually figuring out, like, following the instructions, finding the little secret things. All the different the different bad endings that happen are like super funny. Worth noting, like the worth it ending is so funny.
Oh, 100%. I as soon
Um,
as you said what the risk it for the biscuit, I thought of that one.
yeah, every time. It's still worth it every time.
So good.
But
So good.
yeah, I definitely recommend playing this game. It goes on sale fairly often. It's also worth noting it'll probably go on sale whenever the sequel comes out. The sequel is it was supposed to come out this year on Valentine's Day, but didn't. It got pushed back, so I don't know when that'll happen. That game looks huge compared to this one, though.
Oh
Like,
yeah, it looks like they added so much more gameplay, so much
yeah,
more just little graphic details and stuff
yeah,
too, where you could actually move around a little bit more. Because
yeah.
obviously,
They,
traditional visual novel is like a character slides in and you're just in a room. You can probably
mhm.
go to another room, but that's about it.
Yeah. In
Uh,
this game, we have the bedroom, the bathroom, and the outside, and that's it.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
there's no other. And then like just the beginning trailer of Sucker for Love. I forget what the
I think it's
subtitle is,
called A
but it's
Date to Die For.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's
I
it.
think so.
And you're like running through a mansion, you're like going through a forest, there's like cut scenes. I was like, bro, this is crazy. So that's gonna be really exciting to play that. But I would imagine you guys would both recommend this game to everybody
Oh yeah.
as well. Especially because it's not that scary, but it does have that nice little eldritch horror vibe that will satisfy, I think, some horror
Yeah.
fans as well.
Oh yeah.
I think if you're a fan of visual novels, which I mean, there's a whole section of gamers who just love playing those.
Hmm.
This is a good combination of that plus a little bit indie horror. There are a couple little, they're not like out and out jump scares, but there's some little audio cues, little like
Yeah,
Yes.
poses and stuff like that that you're just like, oh, I wasn't expecting that to happen. I didn't
they
expect
do a
her
good
to do
job with
this.
the book. Yeah, the
Yes,
book
they
that you
really do.
have as the mechanic, they do a good job scaring the shit out of you with that.
Yeah,
Like that
they
is a
do.
very good a good method of scaring you because otherwise it's like, yeah, how would you make this scary? But I also think this is a great overall intro to like what visual novels can be because
Mhm.
it is a dating sim, of course, like, but it's a tongue-in-cheek dating sim. It's not just like a booby game, right? Like it's just
Yeah,
there
yeah,
is
yeah.
no nudity in this game. It's all just horror and it's got good writing and it shows like, yeah, you can have a dating sim style visual novel like this, but it's not going to be, what you think of what clogs up a lot of steam.
Yeah, exactly. I
uh,
put this kind of in the level of like if you like stuff or if you liked Dream Daddy. Have you ever heard of Dream Daddy?
Yes.
Perfect. Yes.
It's
Yeah.
very much in that vein. It just has a little bit of horror, a little bit of eldritch horror stuff, and
Hmm.
just enough to keep you on your toes about what the game is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are we gonna have you back on when we play Dream Daddy, Chris?
Oh, absolutely, I would come back for that. I don't want
That's
to
a
be
game.
just the visual novel guy, but I will do it for that because I do
I
like that
mean,
game.
the other game you want to be on is for Venba, which is basically a visual novel with cooking.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. True, true. Kind of typecasted myself here.
yeah. No, I mean they're perfect for this show though. That's the biggest thing is visual novels are typically like perfect for this show. Unfortunately, like one of my favorite visual novel games is like the antithesis of this show, which is like the Danganronpa games, which is like
Oh,
I
they're
want to bring
so
those
long.
to this show so bad, but they
Uh-huh.
are so long.
They're incredibly long. Every time I try to watch one, like I know that there's fun moments in those games, but man, that like what is the average time to beat it? Like 20 something hours?
It's
20
yeah, I feel like it goes like 20 hours for the first one. Second one is like 30 hours. And then I think the third one is like 35 or 40
Oh
hours,
my
if I'm not
goodness.
mistaken. But they're really fucking good. Like, I love those games. And they're on the Switch now, which I think is the best place to play it because they originally
Hmm.
came out on like the PSP. So I think those would be really, really good games, but they're just too long to like. I remember those took me like months to beat at some point when I was in college. So it's like the complete antithesis of this of this show.
For
Yeah.
sure.
But do we have any closing thoughts before we go into an intermission? Because like we said, it's visual novel. That you're just kind of clicking around, solving some puzzles, interacting with the environment by clicking, and then using a book to like follow instructions. There's not really too much there. I guess it's worth noting you have to do like chance, which is like you have to click and move your cursor across the chance, and you can't do it too fast or not too slow. And that's kind of the difficult part of this game, and that's really the only like unique mechanic I would say of this game is the like reading the chance.
Yeah, if anyone who's listened to the knows that I'm the one who has so much fucking trouble with doing anything that requires like timing and not going too fast or too slow. That was the hardest fucking part of this entire game for me.
You would hate chapter 3 then.
Chapter 3 is yeah. We'll get into it, but
We'll get there.
Yeah, it's an issue. And also it's funny because like it's not a hard like a on paper hard mechanic, but if you have a bad mouse,
Yeah.
I could imagine doing those chants would be annoying because you
Yeah.
really have to like sit there, pace it out, and go in a straight line across the chant in the book,
Yep.
and it's not the easiest all the time, even with a good mouse.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
a point where I lost the USB connector to my mouse, so I had to use my
Oh no, the little
touchpad.
dongle. Oh god.
Yeah, I lost this thing
Oh
no.
for a second, and so I had to use my touchpad, and that sucked. 'Cause
Yeah.
and it was in a very like I needed to do this part,
Yes.
and it kept going too slow, too fast, too fast. And I was like, "Go fucking just do it." But yeah,
That's so funny because I had that thought while I was playing. I was like, this would be a nightmare on a trackpad.
Could you
Like,
imagine if you only, I mean, not that this would happen ever, but if you had that little nubbin that was on like business computers, is that little
yeah, the
like
IBM
clown nose
things.
nubbin?
Yeah. Oh my god, that'd be awful. I used to play The Sims using one of those.
I want to watch someone play like just any sort of like speed run with the nubbin.
Doom would be sick with
Yeah,
that, like
that'd be
old
fun.
school Doom. Oh, that would be so funny. That oh my god, that's so yeah. But I was gonna note there. I swear to God, they change up the pace of what you need, how fast and how slow you need to read it. Because for chapter 1 and 2, or for most of chapter 1, I like crushed it, didn't have a single issue. And then like later into chapter 2, I was still doing the same thing, and I was getting like too fast, like a couple times. So I feel like they do like just enough, just to change it up a little bit
yeah.
without telling you to like kind of like fuck with you. Cause I was like, I swear to God, I'm doing this exactly the same every time. But that's the main mechanic, and it'll be worth noting later because that it comes into play for sure.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely recommend playing this. And then aside from that, we'll see you guys in the intermission. All right, we are back. We are in the intermission. Jess has a quick update for us. I have no idea what it is, so I'm very genuinely curious. Maybe I know what it is. I don't know. But
I think I might have mentioned it to you, but I'm not too sure. Who knows? So basically, I don't know if I think I mentioned it early on in the podcast, but the video game that I've always wanted to play, but I never I was like, oh, it's $15. Like, for me, that's like, I need to like have a reason like for the podcast or something.
mm-hmm.
And then, so I got an email that my biggest wanted game was on sale. And I was like, oh my God, it's $9.
This is it.
Get it. And I was on FaceTime with my boyfriend, and I was like, it's on sale. And he was like, is it this one? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I was going to buy it for you for Valentine's Day. And I was like, then buy it now on sale. So
It's on sale. Don't make me wait.
exactly. And so I've been playing A Little to the Left all like
Oh, hell yeah.
in between classes, because I have like 45 minutes in between classes. So like I'll just go to like a spot on which is in my favorite building, and I'll just play A Little to the Left until class is about to start, and I go over to class, do class, and then do my homework, and then if I have a little bit of time, play A Little to the Left.
Nice. We want to explain a little bit what A Little to the Left is. I know what it is. I'm sure Chris knows what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a organization like decluttering type of game, where you have to like figure out what patterns and like if it goes from biggest to smallest, or like how to organize things so that it all looks very aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
And I
And
love
there's
it.
also my favorite thing about that game. I haven't played it. I've watched like some playthroughs of it, but my favorite part about that game is like every puzzle, so to speak, each screen has like multiple solutions, which is cool. Because yeah, there's not everybody wants to declutter a space the same way. So I think it's like perfect to be like, yeah,
Yeah.
there's like 3 or 4 ways per level
Yeah.
to solve. So that's awesome.
And
When did
just
you get
looks
it?
fun.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I want to play. I think it's on that might be on Apple Arcade. I'm not positive though, but it might that would be like a perfect mobile game on like an iPad.
Yeah. I love it though. There's these
Hmm.
things called the daily oh, I forgot what it's called. It's like daily clean or something. I
Okay.
forgot. But it's like Wordle and like connections.
Oh,
Each
okay.
day it's a new thing to do. And the other day so I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm a little like congested, a little sick. Um
You
got
sound fine.
oh I do?
Yeah,
Damn. I
compared to
should
the last episode, compared to the last episode that you were on, you sound way better.
okay. Um it's a completely different sickness by the way. Um but
Perks of living in the snow.
right? Uh, I went to the doctor, got my medication. I'm chilling. Um, but the other day I couldn't sleep. It was like three in the morning, and I couldn't sleep. So I did a load of laundry since no one else was up, and I just did my little daily clean.
Hmm.
But like, I put my load of laundry in, and then I got back to the dorm, and I was like, oh no, I want to sleep. So just like doing the little puzzles while I
Hmm.
was waiting kept me up and long enough so that my all my laundry was like clean.
So it
Nice.
became, yeah, it was like it actually like functioned beneficially to you because
Yep.
otherwise your load of laundry would have just been done and like sopping wet and mildewy and shit.
Mildewy, or someone would have taken it out and just placed it on top of the dryers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That happens in these freaking dorms.
Dorm life,
That's
man.
the thing you're describing. I wish they would have that for the game Unpacking. Because
Mm-hmm.
Unpacking was a great game. I I do wish there was like different rooms that you could just like, they just like randomize where you just unpack
Yeah.
stuff. That
Yeah.
wasn't part of the main storyline of Unpacking. I don't know if you played that. I'm assuming you have,
I haven't
or have
played
heard of
that
it.
yet, but
I know of it.
I've seen like clips of it.
It's one of like if you like organizing games like that, I would highly recommend it. Plus, it has the added benefit of being one of those games that has a surprising story behind the character
Yes.
you
I've
are
heard it's like
as
sad.
your. It's a little bit sad in parts, but it also, it's a fun evolution of this person as they go through their life. It's just you
Yeah, because you
moving
start as like
into,
a kid,
yeah,
basically.
getting to move
Yeah.
into your first new room, then you move into college, then you move into a love interest place, then you move into your a bunch of different places. I don't want to spoil it, obviously,
Yeah.
but there's little clues as you go along, like where they are in life, like where their interests are, and all that type of stuff. It's pretty fun to kind of interact with all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely been on my list of games to check out. I'm trying to think. There's another one that I'm trying to think of that's like in a very similar vein. It's on. I know this one for sure is on Apple Arcade, but I can't find it. Uh, I forget what it's called exactly, but it's a game similar to that where it's just like yeah, you're just messing with like little objects and like fixing things. In this one,
Mhm.
you're like fixing things. I forget exactly what it's called, but like yeah, those type of games, I love that it's like its own little genre. Because like yeah, I feel like we got Unpacking, we got a little to the left, and we got this other game that I can't remember what the hell it's called, but it like those style of games, it's like so cathartic of just like yeah, I'm just gonna mess around with
Yeah.
that. And then Jess, you have that other game that you played, the gardening one, right? The like idle game, the Zen gardening or whatever that you had, where it's like you're just filling your apartment with plants and stuff. For Chris, if you don't know, this This is a Mexican thing for saying, yes, you got it.
It's all good. It's all good.
For context, no one's watching. She's like flexing her index finger, and that's a thing where like if you're taking a drink, or in this case you're having a coughing fit, like she's having off mic right now. When you flex your finger, that means that like yes, you got it. Yes, you're right, or understood, kind of thing.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
You're all good.
But it's called plant therapy.
Thank you.
Oh,
You
nice.
have 2 apartments in New York, and you just go and buy plants, and they make money for you. So you could go buy more plants and get another apartment.
Doesn't that sound like a dream?
It does.
Just-
It's all like that's something about those types of games where you get to clean or do something virtually is fun. Like Power Wash Simulator, I love that game
Yeah.
because you clean thing and then you get to go clean something bigger or like something different or whatever. And now there's all these DLCs for it. Oh,
I just used a power washer for the first time in my life this week, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is so sick!" I got to clean my driveway. It was incredible.
I don't have a reason to buy one because I live in a condo.
Yeah,
but man, being able to do it virtually, perfect.
Hey, you get to power wash Cloud Strife's bike in that game.
Yes, exactly.
Because that game is published by Square Enix of all things. Always so confusing to me. I'm like, wait, what? This game is published by Square Enix of all people? Okay, nice. So a little to the left. We'll probably get some updates throughout the year on that game, and you'll branch out into the other. How long has that been on your wish list? Of like
2 years. 2 years, I think,
2
around
years? There. That's wild. So you're patient.
Yeah, every time it's gone on sale, I haven't had the money for it, and when I have the money for it, I forget about it.
So yeah, that'll do it. That's so funny. Well, Chris, you have recently been playing some games, right? That you wanted to bring up. So what's going on with you?
Yeah. So recently just finished or played through Poppy Playtime episode 3 or chapter 3, which was very like long anticipated for people who were playing horror games and all indie horror games especially.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting one because we were waiting for it for so long that it didn't actually go away from my mind, but also I was waiting for it so long that once it came out, I was like, should I play it? Because I don't really feel like I remember much of the story.
Yeah.
But then you go back and like a lot of the story, and I talked to this to some of my people in my Discord about this, was like some of the story happened off screen. Like some of the story is happening because of internet theories or little videos that they put out in between games.
Yeah, there's been a lot of ARG stuff, right?
Yeah. So they've been trying to do that and push that a lot, which made it feel even more once I started playing it, made it feel more that like this one was a little bit more advanced within the storyline than when you left it in chapter 2. Since I finished it, I will say, and obviously if anybody, has doesn't want spoilers, I'll try not to say it in such like exact terms. It visually looks fantastic. They obviously spent their money on developing how everything will look, how everything will go in the game. So it was pretty, very, very pretty horror game. Lots of really good character design too. That was a lot more like there was a section in the game, and this isn't spoiling because it's very early in the game. There's a section in the game that is very PT like, and I don't really know how else to describe it besides that.
That's cool.
Which it's such a huge jump from chapter 2. And then the characters were really fun, lots of little interesting things. I thought there was definitely a thing that made me think of Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach rather than Poppy Playtime that happens within the game. And obviously, if
Interesting.
heard, I mean, I'll say it because it also happens early in the game. There's a character that calls you on the phone named Ollie. And he sounds, and every single playthrough that I've seen, gameplay person that I've seen is like, is this fucking Gregory from Five Nights at Freddy's?
No way.
Like, it sounds just like him. And I don't think they intended to do that, but also that's a popular franchise, and you knew that they did that too. So a little strange.
That is weird.
I will say though, my version of the game, at least maybe as my computer, I don't want to talk to anyone else's experiences, but my version of the game crashed constantly.
Ugh.
In between scene changes, it would just deload textures, and I would have to restart the section.
Oh my god.
Again, which was super weird. And man, and I've seen other people struggle with it, so I'm not afraid to say it. Like the end boss fight is one of the most tedious things I've ever had to do.
Yeah.
It took me forever to finish the last boss fight.
I feel like with this
Three.
game, the mechanics, like, yeah, the boss fights in general are just it's very strange, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Because they kind of combine things that you've learned throughout the game, but the way that they did this last one, it was just not the most intuitive way to do it. And they don't do a lot of tutorializing how to do this thing. This is the only section of the game that had this specific mechanic.
Don't like that.
So to combine all of those, plus the changing of like things that you could do, your abilities was very slow to load. Like they give you just enough time, but you have to be pretty perfect to do it.
That is interesting.
But that would be the only thing I'd say was like a bit of a disappointment for me, was that I played that last boss fight probably for the majority of my playtime for the chapter 3. So,
and I'm assuming you have a VOD of that if people want to go watch.
It's on Twitch right now. I'm gonna end up putting it all together. I just haven't done it yet because I haven't had time.
Yeah, that's so interesting, because another thing that's like happened in between like chapters 2 and 3, they had that like weird multiplayer game that I'm sure expanded on the story too. They sold NFTs with lore on them. Like, a lot of weird stuff came out of there. And then on top of that, like Gart and Banban kind of ate their lunch with like the style of weirdness. Like, those, like, and they were pumping those games out like crazy.
Man, Gart and Banban came out with a game every month or two, it felt like, for a little while. They've kind of gotten, I mean, obviously these games, if you do them long enough, they go a little bit off the rails. That game has 100% gotten off the rails. Gart and Banban has. It is insane.
I love it though. Like I feel like like it's just a joke at this point, and it's like,
100%. Yeah, they're leaning into it for sure.
And you should at that point. Like, you want to differentiate yourself, you know, like with all these copycats of everyone trying to catch on that FNAF like train, basically, that's been going for 8 years. It's like, you got to do something that separates yourself. And I feel like with Poppy Playtime, I feel like the first chapter at least, and even the second chapter, did a really good job of differentiating themselves, where those games seemed more like Ruin, Five Nights at Freddy's Ruin, instead of like the big, huge, like, security breach, where it's like this massive open world that was like kind of nothing. And it was a more authored experience. But then you take like such a long break, and the steam kind of fell off, and like you were saying, there's game crashes and things like that, and the internet moves really fast.
100%. It does. And chapter 2 wasn't like the perfect game either. There was a lot of little issues with that when it came out, very buggy. So I was a little disappointed in those aspects of the game. Overall, I think it's a pretty game. I think I'll obviously gonna play chapter 4 because I'm interested to see where this story goes, because they've advanced it in such an interesting way, the story at least, that I'll at least try to play it. But I'm not like looking forward to it as much as I was between chapter 2 and 3.
Yeah, and that kind of always sucks. Like, the hype's still there, but like, I mean, that kind of goes into my thing a little bit, because I finally finished Baldur's Gate 3, which I put a total of 120 or 130 hours into that game. But my first playthrough, I did 30 hours, and then decided to switch to a new character, because I was like, oh, I know what I'm doing now, and I want to do this instead. I finally finished it at 98 hours, I think was my full campaign. And I kind of lost steam towards the end, because Act 3 is just so beefy, and I was like, oh my god, I gotta get through this. I gotta finish it, and I did finally. I kind of talked about that on the last episode with Jordan, that I finished it, And this is going to be kind of my new Skyrim, where like every once in a while I'll probably jump in, make a new
Yeah.
character, dick around for a dozen or so hours, and then dip. Because I kind of know what I'm looking for now. But like, God, there's so much to that game, and Act 3 is such a slog. But I did find out that originally there was supposed to be an Act 4. There was
Oh
supposed to
wow.
be
Really?
Act 3, and Act 3 absorbed what was left of Act 4, and that's why it's so just beefy. And I'm like, you should have added the Act 4. Like the Act 3 just went on for way too long. But then again, I tried to do everything that I stumbled across, and in the future I will not do that. I still recommend that game. I don't think it would have been my game of the year just because I never hit a point in Tears of the Kingdom where like I was dreading to play it. But Baldur's Gate 3, I was like, okay, I gotta get through it. And it also didn't help that Persona 3 was like right there waiting for me.
Nipping at the heels.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's right there. And I have Game Pass, so I already own Persona 3 basically. Persona 3 fucking rocks, by the way. It's so good. No surprise to anyone that I love that game. I do think, Chris, have you played any of the Persona games?
I have not.
Okay. I do think, and Jess, I mentioned this to you, this is the game to start with. It is so simplified of the Persona mechanics, and like instead of 5 stats you can raise in your social life, like there's only 3. So there's only 3 things you're focusing on. I only have like 5 confidants instead of 12 right now. Like there's only so many things I can do. Whereas like Persona 5, it's like, here's 24 different things you can do, 5 social stats that you don't know what any of these do. Like the 3 social stats are academics, charm, and courage. It's like, cool. Those are all very different things. I get that.
And
The other
isn't-
ones are,
my
no, go
bad.
ahead.
Isn't this map like smaller or like more condensed?
So far, yes. I'm like 12 or 15 hours in, and there's only my dorm, my school, 2 train stations, and 2 strip malls, and that's it. And like everything is like right there. And then like right now, all of my my party members all live in the same dorm, so I'm not like hunting them down if I want to go talk to them. They're just all right there, and I'm like, this is great. Like this is really really nice. So I think so far this is like the place to start, and which is nice because it's really really new. So it's like the newest game, and it makes me really excited. Like the stuff they've built upon from Persona 5 makes me so excited for that new wild looking game that's like made by the same people, the Metaphor Refantasio. That game looks fucking bonkers, and I have no idea what they're going to do with that. But that comes out this fucking year, so
Yeah.
this year is fucking crazy.
Crazy.
And then today we just got the fucking DLC announcement for Elden Ring, like when it comes out in June. That's fucked, man. Like,
But
this is-
also today, I will point out for myself, the game that I've been looking forward to for about the same time as you've been looking for a little bit to the left.
Mhm.
About 2 years, I've been following Another Crab's Treasure, which is
Oh
a
my god,
Souls-like
yes.
that is featuring a cartoon crab,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks phenomenal. I played the demo; it plays amazing.
Yeah.
It comes out April 25th, and they just added Nintendo Switch to the platforms that it's going to be on as well.
That
So,
game looks great.
Man, I can't wait for Another Crab's Treasure to come out.
And then they announced an Epic Mickey remake, which is so sick. I'm so excited for that.
I saw a TikTok video today that kind of like summarized that Nintendo Direct that came out today that featured Epic Mickey, and he was like, and they did a remaster of Epic Mickey, which will excite somebody.
It's me.
And there it is.
It's me. It's me and my wife. We're very excited. I love Epic Mickey because it is the reason that Disney traded a actual human being for the rights to Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. If you don't know, so back in the day they sold the rights to Universal for Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, and then that's why they made Mickey Mouse. And then somebody at I think at the time it was like the Disney Interactive team, they had an idea of a game about Oswald being like bitter that he was forgotten. And even though he's the first creation of Walt Disney, and he wanted to make a game that like, okay, Oswald's really jealous of Mickey and he wants to get back at him. And then they're like, there's one issue though, is we don't have the rights to him. And so what they did was they contacted, I think it was NBC or somebody, but the Jim Nance is a sports broadcaster that used to work for ABC, and they traded the rights to him for Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. So they traded a human being for the rights to Oswald the Lucky Rabbit to make a video game.
Incredible.
Insane. It is so funny.
wild.
And then they interviewed Jim Nance and he's like, yeah, no, it makes sense. Like, it's like, how are you just going to take that? Like, you're a person and you got traded for a creature, like an animated car. Yeah. But I think it's awesome. I think the idea for that game is sick. And I would love for them to kind of like expand upon stuff like that. So if this goes well, there's a second one. And who knows, they could go from there. But like, I think the idea of like a forgotten land of like forgotten Disney things is like so cool because there's so many. Like Figment is from what again?
He's a purple dinosaur
From Disney World.
from Disney
okay,
World.
you're right. See, there you go, forgotten things. But yeah, I think that's really exciting. Yeah, the Nintendo Direct was actually the partner showcase. It's always partner showcases. People always get like disappointed in them, and I'm like, it's partner showcase. If you get one thing out of it, good for you. Like that's all that matters. Like it's so broad. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. The Elden Ring DLC looks fucking insane.
It does.
This year, like last year was absolutely stacked, and this year, like for me personally, that Elden Ring DLC will count as a game of the year because it's going to be at least like a 40-hour like experience, I'm sure. But you had the Prince of Persia game, you had Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, you had Persona 3 so far, you got the Elden Ring DLC coming out, like there's the Metaphor Refantasio towards the end of the, like there's so many games that are front load. And then the sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake is coming out this year too. Like it's crazy how many games are coming out. Like it's gonna be a bloodbath. Like before the first 6 months of the year are over. Like it's crazy. It is wild. Like you can literally play, like if you played 2 of the games that have come out that I mentioned, you could play them for like the rest of the year, and like that's it. But yeah, I don't have anything else. Yes.
I want to mention one more game just because this is part of my quest to have people play like these weird indie games.
Yes.
Home Safety Hotline.
Oh, okay.
I recommended, I think, in the Discord, the LFG Discord. A wonderful little experience. It's like maybe 2.5 hours, 3 hours if you're just sitting there kind of clicking through. You play as a hotline operator who is solving problems in people's homes. They will call in with what's going on with their house. They give you little clues as to what it is. And sometimes the things that you're solving is that they have a cryptid in their house.
Oh, fuck.
Basically. And then there's kind of a overall meta story as well as you go through your week of working. So there's quote unquote incentives for like doing the perfect job of like identifying the correct thing every time.
Nice.
It's very interesting. Lots of little details that are fun. And if you just like reading about cryptids too, that has a little inside the game. Obviously, there's a cryptid guide that they've chosen to do, and it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of love in the game. Like the guy who made it and developed it is a sucker for. I guess he said
love. Oh, sorry.
Sucker for love. Yeah. He loved the D&D character guide so much.
Okay.
That's what inspired him to make this game.
Dude.
That was about like a safety hotline and all
that's
that stuff.
so
So
cool.
I will highly recommend that one.
If you ever need game recommendations, Chris is the guy.
Yeah, Chris is just the go-to.
Dude, his game of the year list is still like my favorite thing ever. Like, oh my god. What was it? Straight Out of Wormtown was your number one last year?
Last Train Out of Wormtown was number 2.
Yeah.
It's number 2.
Number
I think
2, okay.
Homebody took number 1.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Homebody's another game I want to play. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I need Chris's wish list and like entire Steam catalog, and just be like, yep, okay, just gonna add all these to the wish list and monitor them for sales.
Yeah.
How much is that game? The Hotline, what is it called again?
Home safety hotline. Let me check
Home
real
Safety.
quick. Boop, boop. It is $14.99 at the moment.
Okay, that's pretty good. But I mean, I'm sure it's a small developer.
Yeah.
So yeah, hey, I respect it because like if you're making a game that's like 2.5 hours long and you're a small developer, like yeah, make it
Yeah.
$15.
Yep.
You know, obviously there's games out there that there's crazy people like the guy from Vampire Survivors who's like, yeah, it's $5. It's like, what? This game is $5? But yeah, that's I always like supporting those small indie devs, and then I'm sure if you want to guys go check it out, I'm sure Chris has some footage of it for you. But before we head back into the spoiler section, we appreciate you guys hanging out. If you guys want to go play this game, now would be the time to go stop and go play Sucker for Love and then come back. It won't take you too long. But if you want to just listen to us talk about it, we will see you guys after a quick break. We are back. This is your final warning for spoilers for Sucker for Love First Date. We're going to cover basically everything that happens to the best of our abilities. I have some notes, but I don't have a photographic memory. So we will talk about the different endings. Maybe my goal is to talk about what endings we liked the most, pick our favorite waifus between the three, and kind of some of our favorite parts about the game. But going into it, basically, it is three. Well, I'll just talk about the two. The third one is like, we'll save for chapter 3, but it's 2 eldritch gods that you can date. One of them is based off of basically Cthulhu. Her name is Lynetta. They never actually name drop Cthulhu anywhere in this game. They just call him him or whatever, his image and stuff like that. And it's like a poster of Cthulhu. And then the other one goes by Missy at first and then becomes Esther. I was really sad when she dropped the Missy design. I was like, fuck, I love Missy's design. It's great.
I know, she's so cute.
Yeah, why do you have an eye patch? But okay. And then but yeah, basically the beginning of the chapter, first chapter, you are Darling is what he is called in the first chapter. He is, and feel free, you guys, to interject whenever you have something you want to talk about. I just want to kind of cover the basis of how this game starts up. It basically gives you a rundown of this guy is obsessed with eldritch horrors, and not the reason you would think of wanting to end the world or anything like that. It's he wants to smooch these eldritch
that
gods.
is my favorite part about this character too, is that he doesn't want to like. It's not like a crass obsession of like, I find them so sexy, blah blah. He just wants to smooch them so badly.
Yep. He's a himbo.
He just wants a little kiss.
Yeah, just one little kiss. You know, what do those tentacles do? Yeah, he gets a book basically, which we talked about earlier, that has different yeah, it's not technically a Necronomicon.
He orders the Necronomicon through whatever his version of Amazon, but this book gets delivered to him, and it's not. She says that Lynetta says it's not the Necronomicon.
No,
it's just a guide to survive her.
Yeah, to date her specifically.
Yeah.
And I love this is that setup of him ordering the Necronomicon, and then going to, I think it was called Amazon with just no G,
like that,
and the posting for it is so funny because it was I think, did I have it written down somewhere on here? No, I didn't have it. But the posting was totally not fake, total real, and then in parentheses, gone sexual or something like that was the post. I was like, what the fuck is this? And it's so funny. But yeah, basically we discussed the mechanics of chanting by scrolling slowly with your mouse over the words, and kind of you have to make sure that the room is set up. It'll tell you no lights or a bunch of lights or black candles, red candles, wear a robe, a knife, mask, whatever. We're not going to really talk about like those stuff, but those are kind of the mechanics of like you have to make sure you have the right thing, or Linetta's going to kill you. Basically, is what happens, which is pretty funny to think about. It's like you're not wearing a robe, you're dead. But yeah, there's not really anything to discuss there except that like you just have to make sure that those are right. Aside from that, we can kind of just start going with the story of how it goes about. But did you guys have any things that like stood out to you when you first started playing?
I think for me, go ahead.
No,
Go ahead,
you
Jess.
go.
I think for me, it was just I was very surprised at how we were talking about the voice acting and stuff like that. I thought it was just a really fun voice to give her.
Yeah.
And like especially the first part where she meets you and she's like, "Who has summoned me?" blah blah. And then you say why you summoned her because she thinks that you want to take over the world or unleash horrors, all that type of stuff. And then she realizes that you want to smooch her.
Yeah.
Like the way that she says her lines, like "send me back," like
Yeah.
the incredulousness of her realizing that all he wants to do is give her a kiss.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so like perfectly funny just as a setup. Like it really hooks you in right there because of how just like just like a I'm assuming I mean, I haven't said, what am I saying? Like, I would assume like a girl who you would approach like that would be like, "What
Yeah.
the hell?"
Yeah.
Like, it's exactly that type of reaction.
Yeah. The darling is who I will refer to him as.
Yeah.
He leaves these gods speechless so many
So many
times.
times.
And it
so
is
funny.
every single time it hits so good. It is so funny every single time he leaves them speechless because he is just like, I just want a smooch. That's it.
Yep.
I'm gonna do what I can for that smooch. He's like the living embodiment of Jesse Cox. If if you watch any of that man's videos, that man
Yep.
he's a lover of love, and that's all he wants, and that's like basically what this character is. Jess, what were some of the stuff you like noticed right off the bat?
I'm always like looking for the personalization in video games. And so I went into this thinking like, okay, I get to create a character, I get to give myself a name. And then when I was just darling and I was a himbo, a tall, muscular, buzz cut boy, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. And I was like, I wonder like, are we gonna be Chad? Like what? And then turns out that our name is Darling. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this works,
Yeah.
I guess.
And he has a D necklace that he wears all the time too.
Yeah.
And then the first note I have on here was that it's the only time it appears in the entire game, but the beginning of the game, that poster that's in his room is a picture of him fucking self. Like it's just him. And I'm like, dude, this guy is so fucking ridiculous. Like, but then it's never that again. But I was like, I literally wrote down MC main character has a poster of himself above his bed. Like, it's so good. He's just like, yep, that's me. And I love, so there's 3 different characters that you can date. And based off of what chapter you're in, Darlings, he's referred to differently. But his color scheme is different. So for Lynetta, he's pink, and then for Esther, he's gold, and then for Auntie Yan Yan, he's blue, which I think is really cool. I love that just like subtle aspect change for
primary
him.
colors.
Yeah. Oh yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Because it's magenta, yellow, and blue.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. You're right. You can print anything. Okay. But yeah, like, I mean, like I said, it's just risk it for the biscuit. And he just goes forth into the point of putting a mask on his head, a Cthulhu mask, and fusing it to his face and not being able to talk. Like that's the first main thing that happens, which is so funny.
And it's a funny mechanic. I don't know if you noticed it, that when you get that, when it fuses to your face, you can actually walk in the bathroom and you can interact with the mirror and wash your face. If you wash your face, you see your real, quote unquote, real face underneath.
Oh,
where it's bloody and like just your jaws torn off.
Yes.
And it's just like, oh my God, you're really risking it all to
risk it for the biscuit, man.
I went and did that because I remember before I had gotten it fused, I was like, oh, click with the mirror. So I was like, oh, I wonder if it's gonna change if I look in the mirror now. And I tried washing my face, and I remember I was sitting here, and we have a futon right here, and my roommate was right here, and I see like all the blood, and I just like turned around to my roommate. I was like, "Are you seeing this shit?"
Yeah.
Because I wasn't
It's
expecting it,
shocking.
and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
yeah,
but yeah."
Because it just says wash face. It doesn't say rip off.
yeah,
Like your,
yeah.
yeah. It's fucked up. Did you guys? I'm curious what like bad endings you guys got with Lynetta. Did you get any of the quote unquote bad endings with her?
I believe I did. I remember especially the one that we were talking about earlier.
Oh,
Risk
the
it for the
worth it.
biscuit.
Yeah,
The
the
worth it
worth it.
ending was like the second one I got because I was like curious. I was like, she tells you not to peek,
Yeah. Yeah,
and like
while
of
she's showering,
course,
worth context.
yeah.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
showering. She's like, "Don't peek."
And it's like, okay, I'm gonna play this nice the first time, obviously, and not be so thirsty. But now I'm
Yeah,
curious what happens if I do. And the fact that it just is called worth it,
yeah. The
and it's
game just
like
ends.
the game just ends. So she obviously just kills you for
Kills you.
peeking.
Yeah, because
So funny.
it gives you the crazy madness
Yeah,
eyes
yeah, yeah.
that signify that you've been corrupted by like an eldritch horror of some kind. So it's so funny that it's like, but the difference is that in his eyes, instead of said bad end, it says worth it, and then he gives a
Yeah.
thumbs up. It's so funny because I'm sure that got a lot of people. Because if you're playing this visual novel like another kind of visual novel, normally that would be the correct option to do. And so people probably fell for that quite
Yeah.
a bit. But yeah, early on, there's that ending, and then there's the breakup ending too. That's
Yes.
technically, I think, my one or two. It's of my favorite endings in the game.
It is because of how she looks by the end, and if you,
Yes.
obviously we're in spoiler territory.
Yeah.
So if you break up with her, she severs her connection with our real world and becomes this little
Little
squid
itty bitty
character,
squid.
Yeah.
super kawaii little squid
Yes.
character.
She basically becomes a blooper from
Yeah.
Mario, and she's so fucking cute. I'm obsessed with like little Lynetta.
Incredibly cute.
Yeah, it's so good. I was like, no fucking way. That was one of my favorite endings. But I think my favorite ending we'll get to when we talk about chapter 2, just because it fucking sent me. Like it was so funny the way it was. Jess, did you get any of the bad endings? Did you do breakup? What was your first instinct when you got to the point of like, I can break up with her or I can move forward with the smooching?
Well, I did peeking.
You did that first?
Yeah. She said no peeking. It's obvious.
And
You gotta try it. And then I was too scared to see what was gonna happen if I broke up. So I just went through with destroying the entire world.
Of course.
In the smooch. And then I finally got the courage to do the breakup ritual because it was scary. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I have my headphones on whenever I play this, and these headphones are like pretty not soundproof, but they're pretty muffling of outside noise. And so there's some times where, like when you're reading the breakup spells and stuff, you would hear a heartbeat, which is the one sound effect that creeps me the fuck out all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh fuck, I just gotta go with it. I gotta go through with it. But yeah. I did peak, and then the good ending, and then breakup.
Nice. Yeah, the good ending's the good ending of waking her up. Because worth noting, the way eldritch horrors work is like they're in a dream. Like the eldritch gods are kind of dreaming, and if they wake up, the reality that they've created in their mind during their dream time basically ends, and that's how the world ends. So like that's the whole point, is like Lynetta's technically not awake while we're interacting with her, and going through all of her spells will wake her up and end the world basically. And that's what happens at the end of chapter 1 if you go that way, or you can turn her into a cute little squid thing, which is real good. But we did forget to mention that there is a character that is introduced during chapter 1, which is Missy, which is a character that I think seems like they just set her up in the first chapter as somebody who's like obsessed with Darling and is like, I don't know what Darling's job is, but it sounds like
never really say what his job is at all.
But it sounds like he's some kind of high-end escort. Like I think of some kind, or he works at some kind of high-end escort like place, which like no shade, but I was like, just what is his job? It was very interesting, but yeah, it seems like that he was, and I love Missy's design. When she showed up, I was like, fuck yeah, this is a great design. She has an eye patch that has the tried and true visual novel thing of instead of drawing it when she's facing a different direction, they just mirror the image. So her eye patch switches back and forth throughout. I always love that in visual novels.
I was playing this like with my mod from the channel, my mod Charlie, and she's a artist as well. So she was just laughing about that, where like they don't change the look or like they don't adjust the look for her when she changes positions. They just
so good.
Flip it. It's so funny.
Yeah. I totally get it why they do it, but it's like you couldn't have just like isolated the face and then flipped everything else. Like, there could have been some workaround. Oh, it's so good. I had a prediction though while I was writing this down. So we'll move on to chapter 2 unless we have anything we want to talk about in chapter 1. Chapter 2 basically functions exactly the same as chapter 1, except there are branching paths now. I had a prediction that Jess loved Esther. Am I correct in this thinking? Or did you like...
No.
Did you like...
I actually
don't like Esther?
hated Esther.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Interesting. I thought the theater girl in you would have loved the whole play aspect of her.
It was cool, but I was like, man... Because I've already done A Midsummer's Night Dream, okay?
Okay.
Fair enough.
You're like, this is so cliche.
When I first played through it, I kind of preferred Esther over Lynetta. But then when I played through it again just recently before we did the podcast, I was like, Lynetta is pretty freaking cool. Like her design's much better.
She's just nicer too.
She's nicer.
Yeah.
She's more like she's more, I don't know, surprised by your want of her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas like Esther's very kind of full of herself and all that stuff. So I don't know.
I just had a revelation.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just had a revelation why I don't like Esther. I think it's because she reminds me too much of all the pretentious theater kids that I interacted with. That like, I mean, you do you, but it just they always irked me. And then seeing like the things mirrored in Esther, I was like, I don't like you. I liked you better when you were Mickey.
I get that too, because like it's like one of those theater kids that is like, this is the only way this play is supposed to go.
Yeah.
Like this is how Les Mis should go or whatever, you know? Like one of those types of people, which I've known a couple of people like that. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I definitely I literally went through the same exact thing you did, Chris, except just in like my one playthrough of being like, yeah, of course, Esther's the best. When she hit you with the Street Fighter Karin / like fucking Frieza laugh, the like, oh, I was like, no fucking way. I fucking love that. Anytime a character does that, I'm like, oh, you're very endearing to me. This is hilarious. But by the end of it, I was like, Lynetta's the one, man. She's so fucking sick. And worth noting, when you wake up in chapter 2, your character remembers everything of chapter 1. Like, and knows all the stuff, knows what's going on. And that is another reason why I like Lynetta better, is because Lynetta loves you so much that the reason this world exists and you still exist is because she's like, I can't stop dreaming about you. Like literally.
The reality, you still really exist in a reality because she enjoyed you so much that she keeps thinking about you.
Yeah. And what better? Like that she loves you. Esther is canonically her sister, and she just wants. I think Esther does fall in love with you as well, but like she just wants you because she wants to fuck with her sister. Like that's her whole goal in life is to be like, I'm gonna do everything in my power to make my sister's life miserable, which is not the best motivation.
It's a classic like rom-com trope of being the rival and not getting the attention that probably Lynetta gets, and then you're like constantly going after. At least in movies, I don't think this happens in real life all the time, but you're constantly going after the intention.
And I think it's done well, especially because like Lynetta is Cthulhu, right?
Yeah.
And Cthulhu is the eldritch god that everyone knows.
The eldritch god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas the King in Gold is not somebody that I was super familiar with. The Crown Prince of Caracosa or whatever. Like I was not familiar with that at all. And so it's like literally perfect of being like, yeah, like of course everyone's gonna like Lynetta more, but then Esther is gonna come in and steal from Lynetta to piss her off, kind of thing.
And do we talk about the name change in the second chapter yet?
Oh no.
Yeah,
What was
we were Darling in the first chapter. Second chapter, we are referred to by Esther as Dearest.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So that's the second D. The third chapter is the best one.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that. But yeah, so, and then worth noting that instead of, you do all the same similar stuff. You put on a mask, you put on robes, whatever. But instead of doing rituals, you're reading a fucking play. You're reading your lines of a play for Esther. And Esther, also worth noting, has a very cool mechanic of she cannot enter unless the light is in your room from outside. So if you open the blinds, then she can enter the room, which allows for a lot of shenanigans of going for the classic harem role of trying to get both love interests in one run, which does not work. No, it does not work. There is some great one of my favorite moments in the game is where you have Lynetta on the bed and then you open up the curtains and then Esther comes in and they're like, what the fuck is happening? It's so funny. But the different endings, this is where a lot of the endings are, because there's 3 Lynetta endings and 3 Esther endings in chapter 2. Basically, I mean, there's not really any like rituals worth mentioning in this one. They're kind of, if you guys have moments of them that you want to talk about, that's totally fine. But like, I don't think
something.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a mechanic that was introduced in the first chapter, and then it comes back in the second chapter. That's the fucking eldritch mouth in your hand.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah.
That when it first happened, I was like, so we're like Sukuna from Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yes, yeah. You got the gross mouth.
You got the gross, weird mouth and a other body part that isn't your head.
Yeah,
and
that's actually. You go ahead.
The other thing that you just reminded me of that was like a mechanic between chapter 1 and chapter 2 is that there's always some sort of food item that you're trying to make for the Eldritch God, which I thought was kind of funny. And then especially with this chapter, the food thing leads to a really fun interaction with you and Esther.
Yes.
Because she is so obsessed with the cream puff thing that you made that she wants it.
Yes.
And you use it. The character Dearest uses it against her to get a smooch, which I think is just so funny.
I'm gonna be
her line read of "Give me the cream puff" is so fucking good, dude. It is so funny. The line read. That's why I do like Esther a lot. Her line reads are so fucking.
They're really good.
She's a theater kid. It's rooted in our systems.
Yes, it is so funny, dude.
I'm gonna be completely honest though. For chapter 2, I was loyal to Lynetta, so
okay.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about past once you go back inside from the initial book read.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
So that part that we're talking about, like, you make her a little like cream puff thing that she wants.
You make her like a whole feast, actually.
Yeah.
Somehow, really out of like milk and eggs, you make an entire feast buffet for the scene that you're in.
That's the magic of the Eldritch Gods, you know.
Yep.
But at the end, you have this cream puff that you're supposed to be feeding to her, and you've negotiated 2 smooches from Esther,
Yes.
2
Yeah.
total.
Oh
And
yeah,
she
that
gives you
worth noting that scene is so fucking funny.
the
Because
negotiation, yeah.
yeah, because she is like whatever my sister, like she's so serious because she's like, I want to steal you as a follower. She's like, whatever my sister whatever my sister promised you, I'll double it. He's like, so you'll give me 2 smooches? She's like, absolutely. She's like, what? She's like,
That's what you
yeah.
that's what you called my sister for? 1 smooch? You
You
did all that
sold
for
out
1?
you sold out the whole world for 1 smooch? Oh man, dude, it's so funny, and yeah, the commitment is so good. But yeah, you're doing the buffet thing with the cream puff.
Yeah, and she gives you I can't remember what the order was, but I think she gives you a smooch on the forehead at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
because it
think that's
stays.
earlier. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
stays, and that was a funny moment because like if you meet Lynetta before you wash your face off,
Mm-hmm.
she's like, "Who the fuck kissed you on your forehead?"
Yeah.
I hope it was a human woman, like
Yeah.
whatever. Like she's just fine with it if it was a human.
Yeah.
But so you're giving her this cream puff, and you tell her like even like a by proxy like exchange of like saliva basically would be kind of a kiss or whatever.
Yes.
So she's like, no, just feed me the cream puff. I would give you a kiss later or something like that.
Yeah.
But you're so wanting to do it, you take a bite out of it,
Yep.
and then she's like, "Why would you do that? I don't want it now because you ate it." And then you're
Yeah.
like, "Are you sure you don't want this?" And
He's
sure
like, it's
your
so
favorite
good.
thing? It's delicious, and that's the results in that line read of like, "Give me the fucking cream puff."
Yeah, it's so funny, dude. Because like, yeah, like one of the best things to do in any show, any game, any story is like this overly confident person like getting control over them like that, and like
Yeah.
getting them to feel what they make other people feel like is so fucking funny. Yeah, so worth noting, there's up in the top right corner, there's a smooch meter basically. It's 3 hearts that and then at the end it says smooch, and if you fill all 3 hearts, then you can click on that and get your smooch. It's all story based. Like if you follow through with Lynetta's thing and do all of her stuff correctly, you get the smooch, and same thing with Esther. But worth noting what Chris brought up with the forehead thing, with the forehead kiss and the lipstick on the head. If you do something like that, you get a broken heart there. And that's how you unlock like the alternate endings, is by getting 1 or 2 black hearts in there for each character. And one of them's really fucking sad. Did you get the one whenever Lynetta breaks up with you?
I don't think so. I don't think I got that one.
Yeah, she like is like, I think it's better. She's like, I love you, but I think it's better that we like don't do this. And she's like, I'll go back to sleep. I'll make sure none of this happens. And it's like so bittersweet. And I was like, oh fuck, this is so sad. Like it was, that one was rough. And then Esther's one is terrible. Like you actually become one of her
I
like
think I did that
subjects.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You become one of her subjects. But was there any other moments in chapter 2 you guys wanted to talk about before we kind of discuss like our endings and our favorite endings that we got?
No.
Yeah.
Another thing that like is
Mhm.
in chapter 1 and chapter 2, I just keep remembering like little things.
Absolutely.
Our pet turtle, bro.
Oh, I know.
Oh my gosh.
He ends up being a
Such an integral part.
sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah. He comes back though.
He does come back.
Yeah.
But when I first was like clicking around it in chapter 1, I saw the turtle and I was like, "Oh my god, we have a turtle buddy." And then it got to the time where he was a sacrifice and I was like, "Our turtle buddy."
Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah,
sorry, buddy.
he comes back, and then he becomes a sacrifice in chapter 3.
Yeah.
So not the best ending for the turtle friend, but yeah, I forgot about the turtle. That shit was, I was like, oh god, because like yeah, he goes into your inventory slot, you do the ritual, and then there's just blood in the inventory slot, and you're like, oh shit. And then you do something else, and he pops back up in his crate. So I was like, okay, thank God. He's okay. But what endings did you get, Chris, this time around?
So I did the I mean, I did the main ending where you doing the awake ones. I did almost all the endings for chapter 1. And for chapter 2, I really only did um where you do the whole thing and become king in white with Esther.
Dude, that was my favorite ending.
Yeah.
Because so Jess, the way it goes is basically at the end of the play, you actually get stabbed and you're like dying. And because you're about to become one of her subjects that are obsessed with her and dole over her, like, and treat her like a god and everything like that. And Esther is so fucking annoyed because she's like, why are you not like groveling at me?
Yeah.
Why are you not like hypnotized? Why are you not fully under my control? You're supposed to be obsessed with me. And he's like, well, I already was. So like there's he literally is like, there's nothing different about what you just described.
Uno reverse.
Yeah.
You.
And so the spell doesn't work. And then they basically he gets one smooch, and then like the ending is like I forget exactly what the line was. Let me see if I have it written. Oh yeah, she starts describing what his life is going to be like. And it's like, you're going to be bound to me forever. You're going to like dole on me hand and foot and treat me like a god and do all this stuff. He's like, so marriage. And she's like, no, not like marriage. You're going to spend every waking moment like treating me like super well and everything. He's like, so marriage.
Yeah, marriage.
Yeah. And, and he keeps going on and she keeps getting more and more annoyed. And then he's like, yeah, I'll marry you. And she's like, you cannot be serious. And then it cuts to the end and it says he was serious and they're married.
He was serious, yeah.
It's so the juxtaposition of like that ends the game right there is so funny. Because oh my God, I lost it. The he was serious is so good.
Wild.
It was that alone makes Esther's thing like so much better because it was so funny. That's
the funnest part about this game is that they use those tropes of like the end screen or like the dialogue to really drive home like how fun the mechanic of the game is or what you're doing.
Yes.
Because some of the things is like, oh, we're doing cultish rituals and stuff like that.
Super cultish rituals, yeah.
You gotta lighten this up a little bit more. So they do a really good job of bringing you the lightness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I just remembered one of my favorite ongoing bits of this game is the Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah, pronounce this.
Pronounce this. So basically, in the first chapter, it's set up where like he's trying to he basically is like, how can you speak all these different languages? And Lynetta's like, oh, I can speak every language. He's like, pronounce this. So he holds up the Worcestershire sauce and she says it perfectly. He's like, oh, wow, that's crazy. So then later when Missy shows up at not revealing to herself as to be Esther yet, he's like, well, it's because you're an eldritch god. And she's like, what? He's like, well, can you pronounce this? And she reads it perfectly. He's like, you got it. You are. It's so funny. Oh man. Yeah. This game is really, really, really funny. And I think that was my favorite ending was the he was serious one, the King in White, just because of how funny it was. But the ending, Jess, I'm assuming you got the good ending with Lynetta, right?
I don't know what it would be classified as.
Well, what ending did you get with her?
I got the what's it called? The one where I think it was like Awakened Redux or something like that.
Yeah.
Where you wake her up again. I was like, when it started happening, because I did not like re-interact with Esther at all. I was like, nope.
Okay.
I am all for Lynetta.
Lynetta stan.
But when she was like, can I stay asleep a little longer? I was like,
oh, I know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was so good.
Yeah. That was the ending I got. And she was like, no, please, just a little longer. And then the little drawing where like, this is my love, this is my darling. This is a picture of him, so I never stopped dreaming of him. I was like,
yeah,
so
that's why Lynetta's the best. She like legitimately loves you. That was so. I mean, you did end up marrying Esther, so I mean, she definitely loves you too. But yeah, this is a drawing of my darling. I was like, fuck, that's so sad.
Oh my gosh.
That was a good. Both those endings are so good. So Chris, you got a couple endings in chapter 2. Which one? Which one of all of them is your favorite?
I do agree with you. I think King in White is my favorite ending.
Yeah.
Although I think Lena is a better character, I think that King in White one was so satisfying because of the dialogue right before it. Is
Mm-hmm.
that he's just so obsessed with her that these spells don't work. And it
Yeah.
kind of plays into something that will happen in chapter 3
Yes.
in some of the dialogue. But like the way that this character is so uh committed to the I don't want to say committed to the bit, but he
Bit.
like is committed to the bit of
Oh yeah.
loving eldritch gods that he has no like he's immune to whatever they're doing.
Yeah, he is a certified freak, is what I wrote down as like my notes. He is a certified freak. This dude is so in it. But yeah, do we want to talk about how to unlock chapter 3 a little bit? Jess,
Yeah, sure.
did you pick up on how to unlock chapter 3 while you were playing?
Secrets?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, every once in a while you're reading the books, there will be lettering in blue, and you have to do all of them through chapter 1 and 2. There's 3 of them total to unlock chapter 3, which is a wild time. I thought they were very clever. The first one's very obvious. It's like, if you, now that you have the eldritch mouth thing, you can read this thing that you couldn't before. It gives you you get a very deep, like hearty laugh and a progress meter on your thing.
Yeah.
The one that I missed that I had to look up, but I was like a big dummy, because I should have been able to see it, was the one in the back of Esther's book, because you have to turn the lights to black to do the ritual, and it's on the last page. And so I should have seen it, but like it basically, when you have just black flames, it unlocks a last page of her book that is one of the secrets. And then the other one is like really simple. It's just like, if you mess up, you'll get an unexpected guest kind of thing. But you do these different rituals, and it unlocks chapter 3. Chris, you played chapter 3 for the first time this
Yes.
go around.
Yes.
You want to give us a little like insight on chapter 3?
So in chapter 3, you wake up. I think you realize you're in someone else's room, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not of either of the two characters that you actually wanted to meet. Obviously, you didn't. It's not Lynetta. It's not King in Yellow. You know exactly that you're in some weird room. Then you come to find out it's Auntie Nian Nian, who
Yeah.
is the aunt of Lynetta and Esther,
And
and
she's like the
she
second most powerful eldritch being, apparently.
yeah, and she's seen what terror you hath wrought through the realities because of them being obsessed with you, and
Yeah.
she is there to stop you from ruining the realities and ruining them as eldritch gods because they are becoming awakened and all that type of stuff. So,
Yeah.
um, she puts you through a trial, which is supposed to sever you from the realities and be able to not affect them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think,
Because she wants to kill
yeah,
Mew, right? Mew is the
yeah,
guy who makes these fucking books.
yeah, because he was the one who sent you the books. So it
Yeah.
wasn't whatever Amazon thing that he ordered from. He's the one who sent you the books to just kind of like let you figure it out.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so then you go through this huge she you get one last ritual book from him which tells you she tells you to banish Moo
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. But obviously he leaves you a clue as to how to defeat her.
Mm-hmm.
So you can either banish Moo or you can choose to try to defeat her. Um, so I definitely did both
Yes, me
and stuff
too.
like that because it's so easy. There's really only
Yeah,
two endings to this.
the first ending is like, yeah, you just do it and then it ends.
Yeah. But the second ending where you defy her and like try to like banish her, now it becomes you have to figure out what she starts hitting you with just a bunch of eldritch horrors.
Yeah. There's
And
like
you have to
12,
figure
I
out,
think.
yeah, and you have to figure out within like 30 seconds or so which eldritch horror it is and which ritual page you have to execute to get that eldritch horror to go away.
Yep. So now you're on a time trial basically of like you have to figure out what it is.
Yep.
You have to then like find out. You have to make the room the right way.
Yep.
You have to be in the right room. You have to like whether it's outside, whatever, and then you then have to do the chanting while
Yep.
the heartbeats are happening and everything, and it basically becomes FNAF out of nowhere.
100%, 100%
like-
it is. And you have 3 mistakes you can make throughout
Yep.
this entire run. You have to, I think, with each section, you do it 3 or 4 times, and there are 3 eldritch horrors each time.
Yeah.
And then she has dialogue in between.
Yeah, the first one, I was fucking struggling because it's all random.
Yeah.
And I was finally on a good run and my game fucking glitched. And like I had the symbol up on the chalkboard and it kept saying I had the wrong symbol. So I was like, well, I'm dead. And I just had to fucking like, I was like, I died.
No.
And then hoped that like I got one of my hearts gone. Oh, that's what another thing. She fucking changes your smooch meter into a health bar.
Yeah.
And so she's like fucking with your UI, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, and then my favorite thing was when she introduces herself in the beginning of the beginning of the chapter. It's just like the zoomed in one. She's not interacting with the world, right? So you're just having the dialogue with her. And I was like, why is she standing like that? Like the way she's like leaning forward and she has her hand up like this. I was like, why is she doing that? And then when you finally see her in the room, it's because she's so fucking tall.
Yeah,
that she's
like a
ducking.
9 foot, 10 foot tall cat girl.
Yeah, and I was like, that's so fucking funny. And then he has some great dialogue
too. Yeah, like I think you were about to lead up.
Yeah,
to
go
it,
ahead.
She says something about like, I don't understand how you even perceive us as like beautiful or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
and all that stuff. And in my head, I was like, we live in a world where Lady Dimitrescu is like one of the most sought after like characters of all time. This is a 9 foot tall cat girl. There's no like everyone loves this woman.
Yes,
like she's fantastic, and her voice actor was fantastic too. Very smooth,
very different. Yeah,
very different voice.
Yeah, very different. Yeah, but she's like, yeah, I've taken many forms, and he's like, are you always a giant cat lady? It's so funny. He's just like so confident talking to these eldritch horrors. It's so funny. But yeah, the mechanics are like, once I got into a groove of it, I was like, okay, cool, I like this. But like it took a lot of trial and error of being like, what? Because there's a lot of them that sound similar.
Yes.
And like on purpose, and you're like, what the like? There's some that are obvious. It's like when you see something in the mirror, there's only one of those.
Writing on the wall.
Yeah, writing on the walls. The one that fucking sucks that killed me a bunch of times was the intruder one, because you have to keep your turtle on you, but it's a random chance that he takes the turtle instead of you, so he can still just kill you. And I was like, that's so stupid that they have something like that in there, because that's what ended me on. Like I was having such a good run, and then I had the turtle on me, and he just chose not to take the turtle and killed me instead. I was like, are you kidding me?
The one that always bothered me, and we were talking about sound effects earlier. I think Jess was mentioning that there is one that has a knocking sound effect, and I can't remember which thing it was, but there's a knocking sound effect, and it's such a realistic knock, and only on the right side of your ear because your doors are on your right. And I was just like, every single time, I was playing with my mod, and she was able to help me like identify certain things as we were going along. This would have taken me way longer. So shout out to Charlie for doing that.
That's so funny.
But that knock, every single time, we both were like, oh my God, it's such a realistic, scary knock.
Because what is also is like, it's Esther and Lynetta trying to like, they're talking to you, and it's fake, obviously. Like that one was tough. There was that one, and then there was a combination of that one, and then also one that you needed to go outside to like, but if you went outside while the knocking was done, you were dead. Like, oh yeah, it was really cool. And I think like this is a perfect trial for their second game that's going to come out. Like this is definitely like what they're going to go for in the second game. Cause it was really, really cool. Like, cause you see something, you're like, okay, shit, I have to do this.
Yeah.
But what I kept doing, Chris, you probably did this too, but like there's a little bit when you get the book and you're not reading it, you have time to interact with stuff. So every single time I'd start, I would just grab the mask, I would grab the knife, I would grab the robes, I'd grab the turtle. You can hold everything, because I looked through all of the book and I was like, there's nothing that says you can't have something when you're doing a ritual. So I was like, I'm just going to grab everything and just do it all, which was cool. So I was like, okay, at least you have that prep where you just like grab everything. But yeah, there's some wild ones. Like there's one that it's the silence one, which is probably the easiest one to beat, because she says like you're no longer like you can't talk, and you go to the mirror and you have to like literally cut off the tentacles on your face with the ritual knife. Which was cool.
That one was good, and then the one that tricked me up was the writing that's on the wall, because you have to go into the bathroom, wash your face before you do the chanting, because if the words are on your face, then the chanting doesn't work. So you have to
every
look
time you do
in the
it,
mirror, make sure the words aren't on your face, wash your face, then do the chant and do it again.
Then wash your face. I didn't pick up on that the first time, because I was like, you do the chant and then like words go across your screen, and I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Yeah, that one was really cool. And then another one I noticed was always in conjunction was the writing on the wall and the knocking on the door. You always had, because I'd always have to do the knocking on the door one first and then the writing on the wall. They like, it wouldn't work one way or the other
way.
Which was interesting. And then the shadow ones were okay. The one that was like a trip and I never knew if I was doing right was the intruder one with the mirror. When the mirror, like when you look in the mirror and you see something and you have to like run to your room and turn off all the lights.
Yeah, that one was.
And then I don't think once
not move or whatever too.
Yeah, I don't think once that I got the shadow to go away without doing the chant. So I just like defaulted to that. I was like, I'm not going to risk it. I saw the thing and I went and I did the chant and got rid of it. Yeah, I did really like the one that's like, there's one that's like, you have to pretend to be alive or whatever. And so like, you have to turn on all your lights and then stop moving. And I'm like, why is that pretending to be alive? But if you keep moving, your cursor starts to disappear. And so you have to stand still for like 2 minutes almost. It's like a pretty long period of time. But yeah, that it was a really, really cool like mechanic, and like you get to read all of them. You're like, okay. And then by the end of it, I was like, yeah, I'm a fucking machine. I got this.
I feel like I have it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it plays into the ending dialogue, because like throughout, every time you hit, like, I do wish they were checkpoints though. Every time the Auntie Yan Yan, like every time she like talks to you, I wish it was a checkpoint, because it was really frustrating. The one time I got to like the second to last checkpoint and had like one heart, and then that shit happened with the glitch, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So I had to do it again. But she's starting to get like really frustrated with you. At first she's like still confident, and then she's like
you're really, really stubborn. Like I can't believe you're not dead yet.
And she's like, what are you? Like she's like,
you can't be human.
Get it. Yeah, it's so funny. Jess, you look like you've had something to say.
I have nothing to say. My flabber has been gasted, bro. Like, what you guys are describing sounds nothing like the game I played.
Nope.
It's so different. It's such a different chapter.
Yeah.
And Eric said this at the beginning, but he was like, oh, once you hear what we say, like, you're going to go back and play it. Now I'm going to go back and play it. Because, I need to see this.
You got to at least try it.
It's really cool. And like, now that we kind of gave you the tips of like, just start with everything on your inventory. And then you also have a chance to read all of the different scenarios. So like read through them and kind of memorize them. My biggest thing was like flipping to the right page, which is another thing that makes it feel real. Because if I was in that situation, I'd be like flipping through the page really fast. And like, there was so many times I'd like overclick. I'm like, fuck, go back.
Or like I'm in the middle of the book and you don't remember if it's to the right or to the left. Then you're clicking all the way to the right. It's like, shit, it was the beginning of the book. Like,
yeah, exactly. It was really cool. It felt pretty realistic, given the situation.
Yeah.
But Chris, would you like to summarize the ending of this game?
Yeah, I thought I really like this chapter because of
me
the way it wraps up. Because she basically is like, oh my God, you really are dedicated to this or whatever. Like you're crazy, kind of like crazy powerful. And she ends up waking up like from her nightmare of you.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
she's like, this is the only time where I'm like, this outfit was very boobily because
Yes.
it's her in her
boobily.
nightgown.
Yes.
So like when she wakes up like kind of in a huff, she's
Yeah.
kind of like talking about you like, oh my God, like I can't believe this thing happened.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember what else what happens right after that.
Let me see.
I was like
Yeah,
on a roll and then I forgot completely what she said.
No, you're good. There's a lot of endings. Like they blur together quite a bit. Yeah, let me see exactly. But yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like I was like, damn, look at the like because she's obviously like, she's well endowed, basically.
Yeah,
it's very obvious.
Very much like Lady Dimitrescu. Like
yeah,
the shape is exactly the same.
Yeah, I'm looking at screenshots right now. Great googly moogly.
Yeah, she's
she says she's like basically can't believe that you exist. You're a human that's too lustful to have fear of the Eldritch gods.
Yeah.
So she's like wakes up scared of you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you've become a nightmare. And like she also mentions that like early on, she's like, if I wake up, like there's a fucking problem.
Yeah.
The ending of the game.
Talking about that's also the fun part is that in this chapter, and we didn't talk about it yet, his name is Dog. She just calls
that's
him
right.
Dog.
Yeah, she calls him Dog.
But he realizes after all of that stuff is that all the Eldritch gods are dreaming of him.
Yeah,
because he realized that he's in her dream.
Mm-hmm.
So he realized that he has the power over them, which is why she wakes up so horrified. I forgot about that part. Is that she realizes, or Dog realizes that he has the power over them because everyone's dreaming about him.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. The other thing that's really funny is the ending where you actually get rid of Moo, is how you actually get the smooch from her.
Yep.
And she just kills you. Like,
yeah.
She fully just absolutely destroys you.
Yeah. So okay. So with this ending, she wakes up, she's talking about how she's afraid of you, blah, blah. And like, she shouldn't be able to, like, all the Eldritch gods should be kind of afraid because he is too lustful to be fearful of Eldritch gods. And then just out of the darkness, you see Dog's dialogue. And he just says, Auntie Nyan Nyan, just like kind of calls out to her. And she just screams, no. And then the game's over.
Yeah. It's so funny. And can we talk about? So Jess, you actually didn't experience this, so I might need to find a link for you real quick because there's an end credits that happen, and I'll put it in the chat so you can listen to it. The song has no business being as good as it is.
Oh, it's fantastic!
It is so good.
I actually liked a lot of the music in this game. To be
honest, me too.
It's a very good like encapsulation of how visual novels make this like these anime music tropes that work really well with the story.
Yes, I agree. I'll play a little bit of it right now. Also, the end credits are just so good of fucking Darling falling through like
all the dreams.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Okay, this is a banger.
It's so good. Also, I love the first dedication is I dedicated to my brilliant wife.
You make me a real sucker for love.
Yeah. This game is made with so much heart and so much like
so much love.
Yeah, dude. It is so good. Like I would play if he wanted to go through all of the Eldritch gods and make a version for each one.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
I would be there. The one thing I found out, because I don't think, do we have anything else to talk about this game other than the fact that we loved it and it was like, it's a must play, honestly.
Yeah,
I've got
think
nothing
if you're
else.
just a fan of this genre, in general, and if you're a fan of anything Eldritch Gods sort of situation, it's a really good mishmash of those things.
Yeah, it honestly makes it so worth it. Like it honestly, it might like I said earlier, it might be a good. This and Sonic the Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog are great examples of like what can be done in a visual novel, and
Yeah.
I think showcase the genre pretty well in a not like too complicated fashion and a nice like bite-sized thing.
Yeah.
So not too serious, but if you enjoy this, then you can start to branch out from there. But I found out, I was like, you know what? I'm curious because when I was looking up stuff, one of the autofill things was a Lynetta plush, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna look up that. And they sold them for a very short period of time during
limited run,
and I was like, damn it, I want one so bad.
Yeah, I was actually looking at that after I finished the game. I was like, man, I kind of want to see what if they have merch or whatever.
Mhm.
And I saw they had all of the plushes of each of the characters.
Yeah.
What I wanted was the pins, though. They had a pin run,
they did,
but they did not. It did not fund. So I don't know if they actually ever came out. But the pins look fantastic.
Yeah, I was a little bummed there wasn't a little Lynetta squid plush. That would be like an instant buy.
Yeah, I would have gotten the little Lynetta squid immediately, even if it's like a bag keychain.
Mm-hmm. Something.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? Maybe we'll get lucky and they'll be with the release of the new one. They'll do more because I would love that. Like,
run,
oh yeah, Lynetta's the best. I think we all agree, right? Lynetta's the best.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The first.
Auntie Nyan Nyan's pretty darn good. It's kind of even for me. If we're talking about just design wise,
they're all great.
Nothing like a tall lady that puts a little fear in you. You know?
Is your wife taller than you by
No,
chance, Chris? Okay. I just wanted to see. It is worth noting though, Esther's design during the end scene of her her speech of like when you get stabbed during that, when she like pulls up her dress and like all the fucking hardcore fucking death metal skulls are coming out of there. That shit is sick.
Pretty great.
That is a great design. But yeah, I mean this game is so good. This game is it's going to be so Chris, I don't know if you saw, but we do at the end of the year, we do a game of the year based off the games we played. Like this is going to be a hard one to beat because it was just so fun, especially by the time we do that, Jess will have played chapter 3 and get that full experience. Like this is going to be, I mean, I don't know if it'll win, but it's going to be up there for sure.
I think it'll at minimum, it's going to be an honorable mention.
Oh, I mean, we'll rank it. It's going to be probably, I would say it'll be in the top 5. Like,
probably top 5.
Yeah. Just because it's just so enjoyable. It's quick. It's not expensive. Anybody can play it. Like it's a really good time. But I think that'll do it. Chris,
I did want to read.
Okay,
go
ahead.
Read just one comment from. This is just I was watching a YouTube. I pulled up a YouTube video of all the ending cutscenes just so I could see them visually, and this comment is exactly what it is. Nyan's ending is essentially, "I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me."
You mean?
Which is
literally
perfect.
Yeah. I'm the problem.
Yeah,
like, he's the problem. He is. I wonder. I'm so curious, like, because I know nothing about the new game, but I'm like, if there's fucking cameos from like Darling and like Lynetta and stuff, like, it's gonna be like a fucking Avengers level shit for me. I'm gonna be like, yo, it's fucking Darling. I feel so safe all of a sudden. This fucking himbo is here. I'm very curious how that's gonna go. And hey, maybe when it comes out, we'll have Chris back on because I don't think I'm gonna wait to play that game when it comes out.
Yeah.
And Chris will probably stream it.
I probably will.
Knowing our luck, it's probably gonna be like out the day this episode comes out. Like
that'd be hilarious.
I'll take that sweet SEO though. You know, like
exactly.
Yeah. But Chris, let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on twitch.tv/the Nerdlys. That's TheNerdLys. We stream games Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sunday nights. So you can find us there. We're on youtube.com/the Nerdlys.
Yep.
There's a Nerdlys VODs YouTube channel as well. And if you want any merch, shopnerdlys.com.
His
And if you
merch
want to
is
just follow
incredible.
me as a regular person's Instagram.com/the Real Chinaman.
Yep. His merch is incredible. I've taken any research I've done has been from Chris's merch stuff because his merch is quite nice, which is the biggest thing. It's not just like his logo. It's like it's nice stuff. I need to buy one of your sweaters, your Scream Break sweaters. I love those. But yeah, thank you so much, Chris, for being here. This was super fun. I'm sure you'll be back. If there's any
both
games,
for inviting me.
yeah, anytime, dude. Yeah, if there's any games that come out that you want to bring to the show, I know Venba's on your list, and I think that'll be one of ours as well. And then I don't think we have. Jess, have we decided what we're doing next month?
No, but I got a request from
All
a
right.
friend.
What do we got?
Stanley Parable.
Stanley Parable?
Oh,
All right, I'm down.
My gosh. Make sure to get the Ultra Deluxe.
Yes.
And I will absolutely, if you guys would like me to be there,
Hey, yeah.
and maybe I could convince Rachel to come along with me.
Hell yeah.
She loves that game, and I love that game too.
Sweet.
If
The
you
more
guys
the
have never
merrier.
played it,
This
I would love
was
to chat with you guys about it.
Yeah, this was recommended by none other than my roommate, because
Okay.
they can do the entire. What monologue can you do from the Stanley Parable? I don't know if you could hear them.
No.
The detonation monologue from like
Okay.
the bomb.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So I've actually never played the Stanley Parable. I've seen some Let's Plays of it, so that's definitely been on my list. So yeah, maybe in a month we'll see if there's any games that kind of fit. Because like what, it's March next month. There's no game. There's no like theme. Like obviously we did this one for Valentine's Day. I mean, there's not. This Stanley Parable should fit fine.
Unless we find
into
some
March.
type of leprechaun game, like isn't
Chris would probably know one. I would. Does it exist, Chris?
Man. I don't know. I don't think I've ever played a Leprechaun game.
Yeah. Now there's going to be one that comes out on St. Patrick's Day, I'm sure. Okay, yeah. Stanley Parable it is. I'm cool with that. I don't know how long that is, but
let me
I think-
actually check before we completely
yeah,
commit to
before
this.
we commit. I'm pretty sure it's short. I think it's like
I think it can be done. Like at least you can. There's just so many endings to that game, so it's
oh yeah.
very replayable.
Completionist for Ultra Deluxe is 10.5 hours.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
main story is 2. Main and extras is 5.5.
Sweet.
Completionist is 10.5. So easy. I can play it on the Steam Deck. It'll be perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
You played it with-
Sweet.
Yes.
What?
I have spring break in March.
Hey,
Oh,
there
yeah.
you go.
That'll be perfect. What's the dates for that?
The 12th through the 17th, I think.
Okay. Cool. Maybe we'll do it in person then. Make that easy.
11th through the
yeah.
17th.
Okay, cool. So yeah, if we do the Stanley Parable, we'll probably have Chris on next month. He'll just become the third host of this show, and I'm totally fine with that
I'm
because
cool with that.
he plays short games too, so it fits.
I do play a lot of short games.
And he plays them live on
Yeah.
Twitch, so maybe you'll do some homework and you can
Yeah.
stream it. That'd be cool. Okay, well, Jess, how about you hit us with our socials?
All right. You can find us everywhere at Short Long Pod. And in our link tree, you can find the Discord invite to our LFG, Leveling Friends group, where you can connect with us, short game long talk hosts, and you can also connect with Chris, and just make friends there. It's a really fun community, guys. Please.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, that's
Sweet.
where you can find
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, we'll be there. I check in on the Discord pretty regularly. Whenever there's game news, it usually pops off. It's usually me and Chris just talking back and forth, and then somehow Jordan is in every single Discord. I don't know how he has the time for it, but he loves getting called out on this show, so I'm just gonna call him out right now. He is somehow
Big love to Jordan.
yeah, father of two, full-time job in every Discord. It makes no sense, and he plays more games than I think all of us. And Chris does it like semi-professionally. I don't know how.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah.
And he doesn't play short games. He plays like the
Long
biggest games. Like yeah, he's a machine. But cool. That will do it for us. Get ready for Stanley Parable for next month. And then maybe, so far we've done 2 episodes a month. I don't know if we'll keep that up. Maybe we'll force Chris to be on a between the games. So just have him be on 3 straight episodes. How about that?
Hey, let me know. Let me know.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah. But just like we always say, don't forget to kidnap your friends.
Later.
I just ate dinner, so like if there's a couple times I like mute myself to burp, that's gonna happen.
I have a Dr. Pepper,
Totally fair.
so if
Oh,
I also
fuck.
turn in
Yeah.
mute, my bad.
Well, then I did not drink any of my. I have these like Zevia like zero sugar sodas, and they
Oh,
are
nice.
infamously carbonated like
Yeah.
crazy. And I did not
Dude.
drink one yet today, so
Yeah.
I'm trying to help him on my side.
Have you ever had a Manzanita Sol, the like apple soda?
Yep.
Dude,
Yep.
those are the
So-
biggest burps of all time. Those are
Yeah.
insane. I love those.
I always get mine the worst because I like ginger ale and ginger
Oh,
beer,
yeah.
and those are always get you.
Yeah, Chris, we're we're on the same wavelength. You're gonna be on this show a lot. I have a feeling.
I'm ready.